Okay, welcome to another episode of Delicious Living with Katie May, myself. Glad you're here. Today we're going to be making a creamy butternut dal soup. So this is going to be really easy and really tasty because, I'm telling you off the bat, it comes together so quick. Once you know the pieces of this soup, just like my concept with core meals, like we talked about last week, you don't have to follow a recipe at all. I've actually never followed the recipe for this soup, and it always turns out delicious. So I'm going to show you our recipe. If you're on our email list, this is the recipe you got this morning. And if you're not on the list, definitely go to the link I'll put in the comments. So the culinarygym.com, you can log in for our featured recipe of the week. Let us know where you're joining us from, everyone. We are I'm in Poulsbo, Washington. It's a gloomy, rainy day today, but I love it anyways. Love the rain right now, and I'm sure you can relate. So hopefully you're having a great start to the fall, finding some comfort and some little joys every day. And yeah, we're gonna jump into this recipe so you can see this is what we're making today, the creamy butternut dal soup, onion, garlic, lentils. We're gonna talk about how you can add coconut milk, or you could do a vegetable broth if you wanted to. All right, we're just going to dive in. A couple people joining us from True North as well today. Awesome. Hello. Anyone fasting at True North? Let us know if you're doing a fast at True North Health Center. Is a water fasting center in Northern California. It's amazing. If anyone hasn't been there yet, it's a way to really reset, to rejuvenate, and get the education you need, like our classes that I do every Wednesday for the True North Center, where we teach the healthy habits and the lifestyle that will keep you healthy after doing a water fast. So today, I have a new tool I want to try out, I want to tell you about. But first, we need to get the butternut in the pot. This is the butternut squash, right? Probably a lot of you are very familiar with it. How we cut the squash. Let's see. Give you an angle of my board here. Right, so I'm going to cut off each end. That'll create a flat surface for us. And then we can put it on its bottom. And then you could either go, if it was really close to a straight edge here, you could go from top to bottom all the way down and just do a little bit of curve with your knife. But often there is a greater curve with the butternut squash. You know, it's got that waist. So I'm gonna cut halfway through that waist and then cut each side, peel it down. The butternut squash skin is super waxy and not pleasant to eat. So we want to definitely remove all of the skin. Now, you can do this with other squash as well. I make it with pumpkin, I make it with kabocha squash. I've never done delicata, and I've never done acorn, but kabocha and butternut is my go-to squashes, and the pumpkin for this soup specifically. And if you're doing pumpkin or kabocha, depending on how much kind of grittiness might be on the skin, you can add, or like growth, some of that brown growth, you can leave the skin on your butternut squash, and it would be delicious. Or sorry, leave the skin on the kabocha or the pumpkin, no problem. Okay, so I wonder, let me see, I'm gonna try out my ceramic knife. See if this makes a difference with the waxiness, if it cuts any better. it does, it's a little less sticking on the ceramic because the starchy vegetables can be waxy and they can stick to your knife. So if you use like a ceramic knife or the knives with the raised, they have raised material on the side, then that will help with the sticking of the squash. Okay, so we're going to, we chop these into, right now they're long pieces, so I'm going to chop them, these longer pieces, just once more through, so we have more like cubes. Okay. You want everything to be a fairly consistent size. And let us know in the comments if you have any questions today. I have someone, a little helper in my ear, to help me answer any questions if you guys have them. Definitely let us know in the comments. What's your favorite squash of the season? Guys, let us know your favorite winter squash. And then I want to hear what you do with it too. I want to hear how you prepare it. Give us some inspiration to try out other squashes. So I have 2 cups of water already in this pot here. I'm going to add another 2 cups. I had add a little bit more. Now, in the recipe it calls for coconut milk. I'm not going to add any coconut milk today. I'm going to do vegetable broth instead. I have leftover broth that I had used for a family meal the other day. Yes, you can use an Instant Pot. Anyone wanting to do this a little bit faster in the Instant Pot, it's definitely possible. I might not have that on the recipe, but squash could be done in 5 minutes in the Instant Pot. So we've got 1 cup of broth here. This is store-bought, not ideal. It's best to make your own, but this is the one that I buy that doesn't have any oil added, and it's low sodium. So Pacific low sodium has no oil added. Most low sodium broths still have oil added. Okay. Yeah, so in the Instant Pot I would do, the squash would take about 5 minutes to cook. So adding it all to the pot all at once except for the spinach, cook it for the 5 minutes, and then do a, you don't need to do a natural release. Doesn't hurt to do a natural release if you want more creaminess for your squash. And then once you open it up, add the spinach, stir it around, and you're good to go. So simple. So I'm going to finish cutting my squash here. Get this. Winter squash is the most healing starch that we can be having in our diet. So I love this time of the year because there's even more squash available, because I try to have a lot of squash throughout the year, but I also try to eat seasonally, and the squash doesn't always look as good when it's not the fall. So when I am trying to do, which I actually am going to do a big cleanse for myself so I can heal, like an elimination diet kind of, heal from food sensitivities, I will be focusing on squash. So I'm excited to find some new recipes, because I have some staple recipes that I use for winter squash soups, some different ones, this being one of them, but I'm gonna try to find some new ones this year. So if you guys have any suggestions on squash dishes that aren't full of wheat and other things, corn, I don't want any allergenic foods, definitely share them in the comments. Oh, yes, forgot about that. So we're just cutting these up, the last of the winter butternut squash. We're going to not add the coconut to this dish, right? I mentioned that, But if you wanted to, you could do something else with the coconut instead. If you were also feeling like you didn't want the coconut in the soup, but maybe you wanted to make coconut rice, that would be really good as well. This butternut squash barely had any seeds in it, so I'm just cutting off a little bit of the seeds here, but there wasn't even seeds for us to really scoop out the seeds, which usually there is. So, that's about it. All this. This is not even a big squash, and there's probably five cups, maybe 6 cups, between 4 and 6 cups, closer to 6, I would think. So sorry, just getting used to this, having someone in my ear letting me know the questions. I should let you know what question I'm answering before I do. So the squash we have here probably equals about 6 cups or so. And you could do more or less. And that's why I love this as a core meal and not a specific recipe that you need to follow, because squashes vary in size so much. So you can adjust everything else based on how much squash you have. You can use the whole squash and then maybe increase or decrease your lentils accordingly. And if you want more protein, if you want more legume or less legume, you can adjust that as well. Same with all of the other vegetables. You can add more greens if you want more greens here. Okay, it's up to you. All right, we have some spices to add. We're gonna add, let's see, I'm gonna add coriander. I'm gonna do curry instead of the turmeric here. We're gonna do a tablespoon of curry. I'll make this a little bit more curry-like for myself. Tablespoon of curry. So this is just my amounts to give you an example of how I'm adjusting this recipe. You know what? Let's actually throw this in the Instant Pot. We could do that. No. I've already got my pot going. So flexible. So we have coriander. We're gonna do half a tablespoon of coriander as well. And then cumin. The red cumin's not in the recipe, but I'm gonna add some cumin. We'll do about a teaspoon of cumin. Maybe a little less, 3/4 of a teaspoon of cumin. Let me show you. There we go. So this is my soup here, but I want to leave the lid on so you can't really see what I'm doing here. Alright. Then we have a little bit of ginger to add as well, and a black pepper. So ginger is also not in the ingredient list, but I'm going to add about half a teaspoon. And add black pepper. 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Now we need our red lentils. So, I've got the red lentils here, big container of them. We're going to take out 2 cups. This is not the wok. I did use the Salad Master wok for the stir fry last week, but this is a Salad Master soup pot, I guess. I don't know the exact volume, but it's their soup pot. And one cup of red lentils is what the recipe calls for, but like I said, I'm gonna do 2 cups. I'm gonna do more. So I love showing you guys how you don't have to follow the recipes, giving you ideas of where you can be flexible. Okay. Now the reason we're using red lentils here is because this is going to make the dish nice and creamy. Right, you can see the proportion I have here. Oh yeah, here's the pot we have. So I'm not on the countertop, but you can see the proportion of butternut and lentil. However, I want to keep it closed so that we can get the butternut squash nice and tender for us. Okay, this container I have, I don't know, it's going to tell you, but this is a great container. There's some great containers out there for storing food in bulk. I definitely recommend buying bulk foods, a lot of them, all your favorites, all the ones you use, your grains, your legumes, and buying large amounts. If you can get like maybe a 25-pound bag of your legumes, that is going to be so great for keeping them on hand and always having in stock what you want, because the food shortages are real. And I don't know if you've noticed, but in the grocery store they don't have everything that we often want. At least I've noticed that, and it's going to get worse because of the whole COVID thing and people not working, but also because of the destruction of a lot of land across the world, a lot of farmland, and the increase in population and the increase in westernized living, meaning they're eating more meat, but they're also living in bigger land, bigger properties. More people want land, the way that a lot of people in the US have like a front yard, a backyard, and that means more land for living and less land for growing crops. And so for many different reasons, plus locust, which is happening, the bug, the locust, a lot of different things that are causing a shift in our food supply. So it's a great idea to buy your legumes and your grains in bulk. The company that I go through, there's many companies, but the company I go through is organicfruitsandnuts.com or organicfruitsandnuts.org, either one of those. Yeah, so if you don't want to use curry, you can use, you can just leave it out, do the coriander and cumin like I did. I added cumin and ginger, which were not on the recipe. So you can just substitute other items. With the red lentils, this is kind of an Indian dish, so Middle Eastern flavors, but it could easily be more Mediterranean if you wanted to. You could leave out the spice, those spices, and put in more herbs. You could do marjoram and thyme, rosemary. You could make it more Greek or even Italian if you wanted to. So it's all up to you regarding the spices. And if you do add the coconut milk, that would lend it to be more either the Middle Eastern, like I was talking about, or Thai, Asian, or Latin. And so if you go Asian or Latin, then you can use more herbs and spices that would align with those cuisines. as well. Yes, the look into the food shortages, not to scare you, because that's the last thing I want. I don't want to create fear in our bodies, but to build awareness, and then you can be prepared, and then you just feel more secure and comfortable when you have more food. And I know a lot of people can't buy large amounts of food in volume because it does cost more, but you're going to be saving in the end, and you'll actually save money from eating out because you do have the bulk foods, and then you'll be wanting to use them, and you'll save money on medical cost, and you'll be better off in the end. So do what you can in that regard. You can substitute brown lentil, sorry, just habit to read these. You can substitute brown lentil, but they're going to take longer to cook. So put the lentils in first if you want to do a brown or black lentil. That the black, brown, and green lentils are usually whole lentils, so they take longer to cook. Then the split peas, which are the red split peas, or orange in color, yellow, those ones are cut in half. That's why they're called split peas or split lentils, and they don't take as long to cook. So about 5 minutes, depending on how creamy you want the lentils, could be 5 to 10 minutes. But if you're doing the whole lentils, the green ones, they could take 30 minutes. So putting them into the pot first would be my recommendation. And if you do the green lentils, it'll be more like a lentil vegetable soup, kind of like a minestrone, where it's not creamy. Where the red lentils, what they do and why we call it dal, red lentils, split lentils are, dal is a type of legume, and those fit into that category. And dal is also the name of a soup that has a creaminess, because those split lentils break apart, disintegrate, and become really creamy. So hopefully that makes sense. Show you what we have going here so far. You got to make sure you stir the bottom of the pan too, so you can get, and you might need to add more water on the stovetop. I'm definitely going to add some more water here. And I'm not sure if this recipe even calls for it, but I want to add tomatoes. This recipe doesn't call for tomatoes, but I know that I've made this recipe with tomatoes multiple times. So if you're looking for more flavor, if you don't like the curry and you do want significantly more flavor, this is one of the ways you could do that. Just getting my can opener here. So this tomatoes, diced tomatoes, is Muir Glen diced tomatoes with no salt added. Just making sure I get all of the lentils off the bottom of the pan there. Also, this is my can opener, which is really easy to use and super safe to use. It's called the Safety Can Opener. The brand is Good Cook. Highly recommend this. Okay, we put our tomatoes right in. Yeah, the can opener cuts around the edges of the top rather than in the middle, so it doesn't create any scratchy edges. Much safer for families. Okay, so what else do we have here in our recipe? Onion and garlic. And like I said, we still need more water even with the tomato there. Yeah, I'm adding a full 2 cups of liquid here. I wish I had like a little clicker on my hand to switch back and forth between these cameras. There we go. The tomato actually works really well with the coconut milk too, if you wanted to do both of those. Okay, so now let's add a little bit of veggies. And then you, of course, would add these at the beginning if you can. I just wanted to make sure that our squash and lentils were cooking as soon as possible, and all of our liquid, because that's the bulk of heating everything up. But our onions, I diced these yesterday, so I'm just going to add these right to the pot. And this is 1/2 onion, half of a large onion. You can see how much we have there. My squash is already nice and tender, soft, and my lentils are edible. They can be cooked a little longer and broken down, which we're going to do so the onions soften up here. And then I need to taste it. With all of that volume, I'm not sure if I put enough spices in or not. And I left out the garlic as well. With all the other spices, I didn't need the garlic. But I have this new tool I mentioned. I'm not sure I want to put any carrots in the soup now because they take a little bit longer to cook, and I don't want raw carrots in the soup. But I would like to show you this new tool. We can experiment with chopping up some carrots. This is the tool that two guests on the show over the last couple weeks or the last month or so. Dr. Clapper's wife, Elise, she used this to chop up her veggies for the gazpacho that she made. And someone else used it as well. So I wanted to try it out. It's got this fun handle at the top, just like, or button, like a salad spinner does, where you spin it manually. So if anyone doesn't have electricity or is worried about, for some reason, not getting power, or you're going camping, or you just don't want to have to pull out a big food processor, this is an excellent little gadget that I've yet to use, so I really can't testify too much, but what I've heard is that it's really excellent. The company is Briefton's, Briefton's. So let me grab some carrots and we'll experiment. Okay, I'm going to show you my... Let me know in the comments too if anyone in the audience has this little gadget and likes it, loves it, doesn't like it. Let us know what you think. So I'm just going to roughly chop the carrots because it's got to be small enough that they can fit in the thing. Carrots are pretty dense too, so I'm curious to how this handles it. Do these all at once. All right. Ooh. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work so well. I think they need to be smaller in size. It's almost like when you have to cut them so small, it's like, is it worth it, right? I'd rather maybe just use the food processor. I'm sure this would work a little bit easier with onion than carrots because the carrots are so dense. It's such a big container. I'm like, you think you'd be able to fill it more. So if you catch your hand under there, you're going to smash your fingers like I just did. It's a workout. Ooh. Wow. I didn't know they had different sizes actually. Let's see. See if I can tell you what size this is. I'm going to transfer my carrots here. Wow, guys. So it's a great gadget, and I'm sure it works really well for some things, but smashing your hand in that, I mean, it just made me nauseous. It hurt so bad. Whew. And these are nice small pieces, but I could have done that with my knife in a much faster, much more pleasant way. So I'm gonna have to experiment with this more to let you know how much I really like it. It doesn't say the size here. I don't have the container, so I'll have to look that up and let you know next time. Next time I'll let you know about that size. Whew. Looks like the 8 cup size. Yeah, it's about right. Oh man, sorry guys, I am like really done for after that. Look at our soup though. It's beautiful and perfect timing because our soup is done. Yum. Doesn't that look good? You know, another thing that would be great in here is peas, green peas. Another great option. So I'm going to pour us a bowl. Pour myself a bowl here. Now this is going to have to cool before I can eat it because it's super hot. But let's top it off. We have a little bit of cilantro. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a break. I was hoping to answer more questions and go longer, but we are going to cut this a little bit short. So we have, oh, I can't see that. Here we go. I have my bowl here. I'm just gonna cut a little bit of cilantro on top. And a little fresh ground black pepper. And it's good to go. So now this will be a meal that I can enjoy for several days, right? And I could freeze some if I wanted to as well. It'd be a great soup to freeze. So that's about it. I'd love to answer questions, but like I said, I'm gonna have to sit down, not feeling well. What I wanted to say is our Delicious Living members, I have a membership program. You can see it at the top of our website, theculinarygym.com, if you go to membership. Next week, we're going to do our first live Q&A session. So that'll be a great time to go deep into answering questions, anything that comes up for you guys. And I'm really looking forward to it. So please check that out if you're looking to go deeper with me. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow for our next episode of Delicious Living, and we have an amazing guest on the show, really, really amazing. So hope you guys can make it. All right, take care. Have a delicious day.